Welcome to our continuing journey of exploring the good news according to Luke. In this journey, we're taking a look at the stories of Jesus that Luke tells, which are not told in any other narrative about Jesus. They just are found in Luke. This is really important because Luke was written for the Gentile audience, persons who were not Jewish in background of belief and had no knowledge of the Hebrew writings, which later became the Old Testament. Therefore, Luke's good news is carefully constructed to make it clear to follow Jesus, one did not have to first be a Jew. There were no strings attached. Knowledge of the Hebrew writings and the Messiah were not required to follow Jesus. This construction of Luke can best be seen early in the narrative. In our first session, we explored the meaning of the newness of Jesus. He was not a repeat of the Messiah. He was new wine, and the string of the old wineskins was cut, for new wine required new wineskins. Then in the second session, we explored the story of Jesus healing on the Sabbath, a clear violation of one of the 10 Commandments. The attached string of Jesus attached to the law, the 10 Commandments, was severed. It was cut. Now, this week we're considering the story of Jesus explaining to his followers that he was not going to be tethered. He was not going to be tied to those who believed they were God's chosen people. Now, what's amazing about Luke's narrative is that these three strings, to the old wineskins, the 10 Commandments, and the belief that the Jews were God's chosen people, are addressed one after another at the beginning of the narrative. After the first 4 chapters telling the story of the birth and the years of preparation for Jesus' ministry, those stories are told in many narratives about Jesus. But after these first 4 chapters that Luke covers what everyone else covers, Luke all of a sudden includes these 3 stories about cutting the strings right off the bat. There is no question. Luke's narrative, the good news according to Luke, presents a very fresh look at Jesus, not encumbered by or defined by the strings of the old wineskins, the commandments, or the self-understanding of pride and privilege that comes with being a part of God's chosen people. Again, it's a matter of pride, it's a matter of privilege to be God's chosen people. And Jesus cuts the strings from that pride and privilege. Now, let's take a look at what I'm talking about in that string being cut. In Luke 4, at the conclusion of that chapter, again, the first 4 chapters are sort of establishing the identity of Jesus, and his birth and his background. But then chapter 4 concludes with these words. he said to them, I must preach the good news of God to other places also, for I was sent for this purpose. Now that's quote from Jesus, isn't found anywhere else. But it was important for Luke because he was trying to convince Gentiles to follow Jesus, that at the beginning he quoted Jesus' statement, hey, I'm just not for the Jews. I am a universal gift to all places. You see, the other narratives present Jesus as a rabbi of the Jewish community. But Luke's story of Jesus was different. Jesus was the Son of Man, of all human beings, revealing God's agape love, cutting the string attaching Jesus to God's chosen people alone. Now, that's interesting to us 2,000 years later, but if I understand history and what was happening in 70 AD when the Gospel according to Luke was constructed, that was a shaking of the foundation in the Hebrew community. For to be chosen was the foundation of the self-understanding of, quote, the people of God. To be chosen led to the establishment of a nation. It led to the erection of a temple as the house of God. It led to the understanding that God was on the side of God's chosen people in any human controversy. It led to the Fertile Crescent of the Jordan Valley, the most beautiful valley existing in that part of the world where crops were easily harvested, produced by the fertile land. That was a gift of God belonging to God's chosen people. This understanding of being chosen, which was being attached to Jesus early after the death of Jesus, was a string that had to be cut according to Luke, for Jesus' understanding of agape love being the good news, providing a new way of life for all people that was incompatible with the understanding of some that one nation was chosen to be the faithful people of God. The universal gift of agape love, according to Luke, was not for a chosen few, but for all humankind. For in the words of Jesus, for I was sent for this purpose. You know, this is as earth-shaking and relevant in 2024 and 2025 as it was in 70 AD. No human structure houses God. Not the temple of old or the cathedrals of today. God is not on the side of any community. God is on the side of justice, peace, mercy, and agape love in every human community. No tract of real estate on this planet Earth is granted by God to any nation, tribe, or clan. This is a fresh revelation that happened in Jesus according to Luke. As a revelation and incarnation of agape love in human lives in every land and nation. This is the foundation for followers of Jesus. We are called to accept the gift of divine love and share it with others. Divine love, the reign of God, will reign forever and ever. Remember? That's the theme of the Hallelujah chorus. Forever and ever. As well as the folk song, if I had a hammer, I'd hammer out justice, I'd hammer out love, I'd hammer out mercy forever and ever. You see, this is the evangelistic task of the followers of Jesus. Not cherishing and keeping the gift of divine love given to us because we are special and chosen. Rather, the good news according to Luke affirms that the evangelistic task is not cherishing and keeping, but cherishing and sharing the gift of divine love with humankind all over this planet Earth. Yes, the string of being chosen had to be cut for Jesus to be a universal gift for all humankind rather than for only a chosen few. Luke included this self-understanding of Jesus. I was sent for this purpose, to be perfectly clear that to follow Jesus, no strings attached, the old wineskins couldn't hold the new wine. The laws were too restrictive, and to be chosen placed limits on the divine. You know, if this purpose of the universal gift of divine love to all humankind was good enough for Jesus, Luke in his writing says it might be good enough for you and for me. For your thought and conversation, what is your personal response to the understanding that as followers of Jesus, the gift of divine love is to be cherished and shared rather than cherished and kept? Secondly, in what ways has being chosen and special been an important part of your own personal journey of faith? And finally, what is the consequence of a community of faith believing they are chosen and special? Thank you for walking the journey with us.